Hey, it's Friday. I'm so pleased to be back. It has been forever. Well, a couple of weeks. And yeah, there's been some really interesting things arriving on our crowdfunding platforms. We're not going to go for those things that are completely new, though. But let's have a look at some of the things that have happened in the last couple of weeks, things that are going to end really quickly. Before we get to that, thank you for joining me. It's Friday. I hope you enjoyed the show today. We're going to try and pack a lot in. Also want to draw attention to the fact that this Wednesday we've got the second episode of our Dungeon Crawl Classics actual play on Twitch. So if you haven't seen the first episodes of that, then they will be coming to YouTube very soon. I don't think they're available on Twitch anymore on our channel. They're on twitch.tv/the Dark Orb UK. But we'll be bringing up all of the episodes together on YouTube once we finish the campaign. What else have we got going on? Let me think. We've got the after party. That'll be with our friends from Patreon at 9 p.m. UK time. So in just under an hour. That'll be kind of taking away from tabletop role-playing and more towards everything that we like. So we're probably going to talk about the latest series, the Book of Boba Fett, and now that that's finished, what we think about it. So warning, spoilers, and so much more coming, film news, etc. So I hope you enjoy. If you're excited about Zine Month and the things that we're going to talk about today, then please do hit that like button, help us to level up. And if you want to find out which zines we really are excited about, stick around for the after party, as I've said, but also tune in next week where we're going to talk about some more. But for now, with Devious Dungeons, Foreboding Forests, and the Coolest Cats, my name is Phil, and it's time for the Dark Orbs Kickstart Your Weekend. And here we are. We probably are going to have a couple of friends drop in over the next hour or so. Real life is getting in the way for everyone this evening. But until then, I mean, you've probably seen what we're going to be talking about this evening. We've got 3 Zine Month projects and a couple of role-playing game projects. Let's have a look at the comments. We are live, so please do keep the comments coming in. Let us know what you're excited about that's currently crowdfunding. So hello to Jason, patron. Very much appreciate you being here. To Krista, to Yoel, and to Sanjuro. Really great to see you all. Thank you very much for joining, and I hope you'll stick around for, as Yoel says, party. Yeah, it's been a really interesting couple of weeks. Just to give you some idea of what's going on and why we weren't around last week and the week before, we are still in the process of that kind of really dull, mundane adult thing called trying to move house, and that's just been really complex. The UK house purchasing process, even if you already own a house, or especially if you already own a house right now, is really precarious. It's just a real challenge, and there are so many factors that can go wrong. And so we are currently at the beck and call of everyone else that is in our process. It's fun though, and we're looking forward to things progressing there. You can see all this empty space behind me. I've got my 2 paint cases here, which are from Frontier Wargaming, with our lovely logo on it. You might be able to see that. Maybe if I can I? Yeah, there we go. That looks even better now. I should have done that earlier. How are you guys all doing? I hope you're having a great week, and I hope that you've got a really good weekend coming up, and we're kickstarting that now. Let's start with a campaign that I'm so torn. The page on Kickstarter has not a lot of information. It's enough to make you want to know more. Let's talk about it. It's called After the Rain. I'll just share the page up now. Bear with me. Where has it gone? Here we go. After the Rain, the role-playing game. And there are lots of testimonials for this. It's by, I've forgotten the name now, Desks and Dorks. And the concept is really interesting, but there's not a lot of information about it. And that's what kind of concerns me, but also draws me in. The concept that we've got written down is a minimal prep one-shot role-playing game where you build your character by losing what makes you you. And this, to me, makes me think a little bit about, in a kind of opposite way, about Nibiru. So with Nibiru, you are playing a character that doesn't know who they are. And the whole concept of that is through your dice rolls, you build and create your character by discovering their lost memories. Now, After the Rain is almost like an opposite of that, from what I can tell. And we'll talk about what's actually what the content is in the campaign in a second. But it looks like it's almost the opposite, in that you start off with a really solid understanding of who your character is. But you are in this place, and I think from what I can tell, it's fairly setting agnostic to an extent. It doesn't feel like there's, at least in the descriptions, it's not a lot of description about the world that you're in, other than it is perpetually raining, and that rain, when you get caught in it, slowly begins to erode who you are. So it's almost like it's imbuing you with a loss of yourself. So rather, unlike Nibiru, where you're starting off not knowing who you are and you build that out over time, it always feels like in this game, you are starting off knowing exactly who you are, and then you're finding out who you are not over time. And I just think that's really, really interesting. As you can see, I've not scrolled down, so let's do that. And I will embiggen myself again. Ooh, no, embiggen the screen rather. So let's have a look-see. What do you want most? What would you lose to get it? Those are the questions that you will have to answer while playing After the Rain, a one-shot role-playing game for 3 to 6 players. After the Rain casts you and your friends as desperate individuals bound together in pursuit of a shared goal. Standing in your way is the rain. The longer you're exposed to the rain, the more you will lose your memories, experiences, and the things that make you who you are. As the game progresses, you'll be forced to change. Will you crumble without your past experiences, or adapt to the loss of your memories and embrace the new person that you must become? With only 4 d6s per player, pencils, and your wits, will you be left standing after the rain? And that's pretty much everything. So it comes with some dry wipe cards. I think if you get a particular, we'll go through the pledges very quickly, but if you get a particular pledge level, unlike most TTRPGs, the GM is not only able but encouraged to play their own character as well, so that's quite nice. I like the fact that it's designed for conventions or quick RPG fixes. I mean, regularly as a GM or as a player, your game will collapse, not maybe long term, but you'll have a scenario or a campaign rather going, and someone will be unable to attend. And then maybe we had this in our home game yesterday, where unfortunately at last minute it was realized that one of the players couldn't make it, and our group is very small, just playing Simbram. And as GM, I don't really want to run the game without the players, because we've been doing this campaign for over 2 years and it's quite plot heavy, and I don't really want anyone to lose out. So it's not a big deal. We can just pick it back up. But games like this, where you can pick it up, where you can run with 2 or 3 players, where you don't need much or any prep, where anyone can run it if you know the rules, great. I'm a big fan of that. Let me know if you are as well. So if you're a big fan of low prep, one-shottable games where you can play the game in 2 or 3 hours, then let us know. Hit like. Tell us in the comments which are your favorite games that will fit these criteria. I can think of a few. I've been trying to get a view screen onto the onto the Zoom, I suppose, onto the table for a while. I haven't managed it yet because you still need to know a lot more than I've had time to put into my brain. But yeah, that sort of game really appeals to me as a rubbish. We can't play. Let's do something else. Finding a game that everyone wants to play, though, is more of a challenge. But it's not that expensive. So, I'm a big fan of people charging appropriately for their PDFs. I think this is probably undercharging if the hardcover is $40. But as you can see here, effectively you're looking at $8 for a PDF, $18 for a paperback, and $40 for the hardcover, which is Kickstarter exclusive. Let's have a look at the comments. Let me know what you think. So Jason says, from a GM perspective, you want every player to see every moment of the game. Yeah, I mean, maybe you can, depending on where you are in a story, you can just take everyone off onto a little side quest. But if the side quest is cool and one of your favorite players, not that we have favorite players, but one of your players at the table who you appreciate can't make it, I'm digging myself a hole of disappreciating players, and that's not what I mean. They're going to miss out. That's no fun. So they could at least miss out on a game that you can run again without it affecting the story. Bruce says, it sounds like a good one for the indie gamer crowd. Yeah, I think this one is also sufficiently indie. And at some point, I'm going to need to get a GIF for that. What else do we have here? Player Zero Void a while back is a low prep game. I don't know that one. Regularly GM at the Sheffield convention, so I'm all for one-shot games. Exactly. And then Andy says, dissing your players? Yeah, always. Preferably when they're at the table, though. And he said it, insufficiently indie. There you go, I'll say it again. Drink. There's a lot of rum in this. So, that's After the Rain. I'm really intrigued by it. I really am, honestly. But there's so little information on this page, guys. I really want to know just a bit more. The thing is that there is, this is the character sheet, it's dry erase card, and I've got a bunch of these just sort of clear ones sitting around. You can get some idea of inference here of what you're doing. Character name, player name, connection, I presume, to other players, I don't know, and your character's goal. I can imagine there's an element of like scene building with other players at the table. But oh yeah, and then your facets, which I think is where you just pick things about your characters that are set in stone, and then those are things that erode. There's a lot of video reviews. I think that probably quite a lot of people have managed to get hold of a PDF to review it, which is cool, and that's probably quite a good way of building hype. But for people who are time poor, this is not quite so accessible. I really don't, and yeah, there's a blurb here. I'm really not personally a fan of having to watch a video that could be a couple of hours long, or even, I mean, there's a couple of explanations there that are 15 minutes long, to understand what the game's about properly, when I could read it and at least get a little bit more information in a couple of paragraphs. And I do feel like we just need a little bit more detail. So hopefully that'll come, and we'll see a little bit more in the updates, because at the moment the updates are pretty vague. I imagine that if you're a fan of Desks and Dorks, and you happen to know what they're about, then you may already know all about this product. I'm coming in cold from that. I saw this product on Kickstarter a few days ago, and so I don't have that background, and it's really hard to find that information without digging into Google or whichever search engine is your search engine of choice. So that's the thing, really. I think it's cool. I'm interested. I may back it at the PDF level. Kind of reluctant to say any more than that without knowing more about the product. I think it's one to watch. I think, yeah, there's some potential there. We just need to really understand where we're headed with it. What do you think, everyone? Let's have a look. Jason Zero Void. Enjoyed it, picked up a copy, played it contingency, plan to run it for the indie gamers. Yeah. I want to know more about it. Please do share in more detail. I beg of you. I'm just going to succumb to patron Yoel, one of our favorite GMs on the channel, who says we should brag about third place. Yeah, go on then. So there is a Facebook group. In English, it's we listen to roleplay games, pretty much. We listen up or spell. And they said, and I quote, the results for voting of this year's best actual play stream. Very excited about this. We'll talk about this more in the after party. Number one, roleplay circles, a nice bunch of participants from all over Sweden's elongated country. Number two, Riddles in the Dark. So that's like a sister podcast to Sweden Rolls, and they're playing The One Ring. And number three, the Dark Orb, an international group of Swedish participants. So I'm honorary Swede now, which is amazing, who play Swedish games with horror connections, good production, and dedicated gaming. I mean, you know, there have been a few really nice things that have happened today, and that's definitely up there. That's something that has absolutely blown my mind. We'll talk about that more in the after party. So that's at 9 o'clock. We'll be on Twitch, 9 o'clock UK time. So that'll be 4 p.m. Eastern and 10 p.m. Central European. If you are watching after the fact, the after party will be available on Twitch for a couple of weeks. After that, if you want to catch up with the after party, then you do need to become a patron. So if you like what we're doing, please do check out our Patreon page. And yeah, every single patron will have access to those after party chats. I can't promise they're anything other than a bunch of people just talking absolute geek rubbish, but we have fun. We really do have fun, honestly. Maybe it's just us. Maybe that's just my bias, but I think we have a good time. Sometimes lasts a little while. But yeah, that absolutely choked me up, to be honest with you. We are planning, and I've said this before, Call of Cthulhu Swedish scenarios to come onto the actual place. So that's something that's going to be coming. Was planning on waiting till we move house, but that was supposed to have happened before Christmas, and obviously that hasn't happened yet. So we might just crack on with it, to be honest with you, make a start, and just try and keep any downtime to a minimum. Next project, shall we do it? Okay. Zine Month. We had quite a long conversation in an after party about a month ago about Kickstarter, kind of basically screwing some people over with Zine Quest by moving it to the week of Gen Con in the US. And their analysis is people spend money during the Gen Con weekend, so why don't we just have Zine Month there? I mean, I kind of disagree, because let's face it, if you're going to Gen Con to spend money on games, you're going to be spending money on the big games, probably not on zines. And I don't think you're going to have much expendable income left over. Admittedly, you'll get paid. Certainly in the UK, at least, we get paid monthly on the whole. So yeah, you can back a zine, and it will, that campaign will last for 4 weeks probably. And by the time the Kickstarter fulfills, or not fulfills, but by the time the campaign ends, you'll probably have been paid again if you're paid monthly. But we're all going to screw ourselves over with buying things that we shouldn't during Gen Con release, because even on Kickstarter, that's when a lot of the big box games come out onto Kickstarter. So throwing all the $10 zines into Zine Month, into Zine Quest, from Zine Quest into that Gen Con time frame is ridiculous. So what did we do? Well, the community just basically told Kickstarter to go and screw itself, and they decided to release a whole load of zines anyway and call it Zine Month. and there are a few that are really cool. There's lots more than the ones we're going to discuss today, but I thought it would be good to pick out some that are don't have long left on them. So certainly at least a couple of them, I have to double check as we go through them, will be ending their campaigns within the next few days. So that's something I meant to check with After the Rain. We've got 17 days left on After the Rain, so let's watch that and see what happens with it. We can talk about it at After Party in a couple of weeks' time. But Zines is a little more different. Let's start off talking about Christian Eichhorn's Apocrypha. Loading that up now. I love to hate Christian Eichhorn because he creates such incredible stuff for Morkborg. Really, really great, really high end. The art matches the original style of the books. The feel of it is spot on. Everything that he does in this space is really encapsulates the feeling of the original game, which is amazing. I also hate him because he's doing this really regularly. Christian, if you're watching, you know, this is not a genuine hate. I really appreciate what you're doing, and I'm in genuine awe of your talent and your ability to push out such great content that really matches the vibe of the game. But god damn it, give some of us a chance to like recover our bank balances. Apocrypha looks amazing, and let's just go back to it. So we've got not long left, 19 hours, so less than a day. If you're watching this and catch up, hopefully there's some kind of backer kit for it. I can't recall if Christian does that. I think he doesn't. What is it? It's a book of stuff. It's a book of stuff for Morkborg. It is a supplement like Furitory or Purgatory, both of which are amazing. So think of this like a probably quite thick zine, at least 40 pages, with a bunch of tables for various different scenarios and monsters and all that sort of stuff. So you've got a war pig, Wickhead. I think that's what I used to call me at school. Lots of things. I mean, you can see the artwork here. If you're familiar with the original books, it's just literally feels like a page out of those original works. Star signs, diseases. I think I saw there's a table for, oh, here we go. Yes. When a character dies, you can roll on the Apocrypha to change the surviving characters or NPCs. When a character dies and comes back from the dead, you can roll on a table that heavily punishes them for the audacity. And when you create a new character, you can roll a star sign for a few life-altering or life-threatening traits. That kind of reminds me of the lucky sign system that you get in games like Dungeon Crawl Classics, which is really cool. I'm just being distracted by the fact that Christian is in the chat. Dude, thank you for joining. Let's see here. Phil's wallet speaking, hate speech, yeah, completely. I mean, I've stopped using a wallet because there's no point in carrying just moths around. You know, he's going to have to buy it. That's why he's grumbling. Yeah. Do you know what? I don't tend to buy books that are just tables and stuff. I tend to buy more like scenarios, but only because I don't tend to write my own scenarios because I'm so time poor. But Christian's already got some of my money. I'm not going to say how much. Fear the moth wallet. If Phil's wallet was like the troll's wallet in The Hobbit and could speak, what do you reckon it would say? I mean, it would probably just try and say something and then all these moths would fly out, right? I did buy DCC and that is just tables, but the difference is that I'm not running DCC at this point. I might run Weird Frontiers when we finally get that in finished edition, which is basically, it was Dark Trails RPG if you want to find it on Kickstarter and late pledge, but it's basically Weird West DCC. So it's like take Deadlands, but then give it an actually fun combat system. Because as much as I love Savage Worlds, the combat is dragging. I've been playing Savage Worlds for a year and a half now, and I ran it for 7 months. One of my favorite people on the planet is running Dead Lazarus right now, and he's doing an absolutely great job. But the combat is still kind of really slows things down, and I think that's just because it's derived from a minis game, right? Anyway, enough about tables. We have a time limitation. This book is incredible, as is everything that Christian does. I would show you some of the other books that I've got by Christian, but the reality is they're in a box in storage waiting to be unpackaged and put back on the shelves. They were there, but they're not now, which is unfortunate. So they are print on demand. I can't recall if there is also a offset printing. I don't think there generally is. No, it's just print on demand. So you're looking at 43 quid for summon seed and content seed. You can come up with a monster of your own or an NPC to be hunted. I mean, I could just come up with Andy. This Andy here, right here. Make an Andy monster for Merc Bory. That would do it. I'm kidding, mate. But really, you're looking at 11 quid. So 11 euros, 10 pounds for the print on demand. And then that print on demand is probably about £3 or £4. Probably about £2 for the print and £4 for shipping, UK prices, something like that. So you're looking at £6 or £7 in total for the print, I would guess, depending on how annoying they're going to be at the moment. Or you could just get the PDF for £7, which is fair. I think it's fair to have a price that represents how much damn art is in there. Oh, Christian says no proper print yet, but there's news on the horizon. Looking forward to that beautiful offset printed, proper sewn binding hardcover collector's Eichhorn. That's what we need. Anyway, until then, right, so check this out. If you're a big Merc Bory fan, it's going to be great. If you write your own stuff, if you're a GM for Merc Bory, Morkborg, or if actually you just want to do some more fun things with your characters, then check it out. It is going to be great. Yes, Christian is in the channel, in the comments. That's a real surprise to me. Beautiful to see him here. That's not why I'm bigging it up. Just everything that I've had from Christian so far for this game has been awesome. Let's move on to, what do we think? Should we do another zine? What do you reckon, guys, in the comments? Do you want a zine, or do you want the other role-playing game that I've got lined up? Andy says, ends February 11th, 19 hours to go. What time zone is that? It's a good question. It's a very good question. I can imagine that. So we're looking at, I don't know. You tell us. West Coast? Christian, where are you? directsun. You got it. directsun. I think I've got a zine just for you. Just for you. Shall we talk about a zine that would work for, well, OSR? So you could play it with Morkborg. How about a zine that would work for DCC? That you could probably even pull into Mothership if you really wanted to and do some paradigm shifting. Let's talk about Aberrant Reflections by directsun. Really good to see you. Thank you for joining. I'm kind of excited by this. Christian, oh my god, that should have been the 12th. I'm just stupid. We don't pay you for your calendarizing skills. Aberrant Reflections. Mirror-themed dungeon adventure inspired by Zelda and Metroidvania games. Oh, what an amazing tagline. Let's have a look. I mean, I could read it again, but I'm just not going to. Second adventure module to be released by directsun follow-up to debut adventure, The Seer's Sanctum, which I must confess I haven't looked at. Designed to be low prep, system neutral, so you can use your favorite tabletop RPG rule set and start playing in minutes. So yeah, it's OSRE, but I mean, you know how it is. Most of the scenario is really story. So if it's got a good story to it, you can kind of play it in anything. It's just whether or not there are enemies that you need to convert. This artwork is the first thing that grabbed me. Actually, the fact that it said DCC on it was the first thing that grabbed me, but the artwork is just awesome. So the artist is credited Jacob Fleming. Venture focuses on player-oriented challenges and puzzles that build on each other as new items and lore about the dungeon are acquired. Like its inspirational source, Aberrant Reflections provides a polished puzzle box dungeon for your players to solve from the inside. And this is going to be a theme. The next zine that we're going to talk about is also puzzly in a different way. There's a lot here. 30 locations. Art from Jacob Fleming, magical items, control panel layout design that's easy for game masters to reference and run on the fly. I don't quite grasp what that means. It might be in the updates. I haven't gone through them. That's my mistake. I'm sorry. But I'm really keen to see. Maybe that'll be in one of the screenshots and I just missed it. Problems, puzzles, and combat that encourage player creativity and understanding of their environment. Players suck at puzzles, and I say that as a player. Quite often you end up with the GM having to spoon feed solutions because we're just terrible at it. It comes to practice, I suppose, as well. But yeah, we're generally not that great at solving puzzles. I love the artwork on this. Although I must say that kind of over the shoulder, it does look a little painful. It's kind of I'm getting Exorcist vibes here a little bit. But it's so fun. So fun. The act. Look at this. Look at this art. It's so cool. Got a little sconce that looks like it's a little gauntlet coming out holding an ice cream or something. No, you see here it's a flame. Jacob's work. Jacob's illustrated the adventure work. Iconic in OSR. Totally true. And it really kind of captures those sorts of old adventuring kind of comics and books as well. There's so much hidden detail in here. Like you've got, the eye here, and what's holding, pointing over at the room of mashed potato. Sorry, couldn't resist that. Aberrant Reflections takes my teen angst of staring in the mirror and wondering if what I see is real or not, and throws it into the heart of a spectacular dungeon crawl. As long as your computer isn't trapped on the other side of a mirror, you should get it now. I would get it now, but I've got to wait, man. Strikes a perfect balance of mystery and discovery. Every room prompting new questions, but you're also never at a loss for things to try doing. Not a single insanely difficult word riddle or hit or miss puzzle in sight. A distinct dungeon with an eerie feel of a forgotten past just behind the surface of the mirror. These are some great testimonials. And I like this as well, to be perfectly honest with you. The fact that there are community copies, the Seer's Sanctum as well as an add-on. Bundle of Joy gives you 2 community copies and a custom dad joke. Now, is that a custom dad joke or a custom dad joke? Could have been a cornetto of adventuring. For anyone who doesn't know, cornetto is the name of a British so an ice cream with a cone, a waffle cone that you can buy in like supermarkets and convenience stores everywhere. I'm just going to catch up with the comments so quickly. That would be amazing. We might get worried if Christian does a Morkborg calendar supplement. I would legit, as long as it wasn't like authors of Morkborg, I would legit get a Morkborg like annual calendar. We have a paper calendar on the wall every year. Currently, mine is Colin Furze, the inventor of weird things like what video we were doing watching the other day was he made a toaster or like basically throw the toast across the room when it's done. He's currently building a tunnel in his backyard from his house to his underground bunker in his garden. Yes, I said that. but also does things like a belt that has knives on it, spinning and stuff. It's crazy. So that's the calendar for this year. Normally we have Simon's Cat. So if you have a calendar, let me know what you normally do. But I would be well up for a mockboard calendar. What else do we have here? Only 7 days to the mockboard calendar. That's true. Death Day, Die Day, Corpse Day, Wednesday, Grief Day, Hate Day, and Blood Day. Probably accurate. Everyone hates Wednesday. I agree. We said that already. Christian, not a bad idea. Maybe if I'm missing a spread or two. No, we don't need a center page spread. Newell says Cornetto Trilogy, which is the films by Simon Pegg and Nick Frost and Joe, someone whose name I've completely forgotten. That's probably not accurate. Someone help me. Right, getting distracted. Aberrant Reflections. Stretch goals are smashing through, rightly so. The fact that it's got stickers means that I'll get a pass if I order this. As long as I give the stickers to my other half. I don't know if you can see this on the camera. Let me embiggen myself. We see stickers. They go everywhere. We've got another one of these that's got like a DCC Gong Farmer on it. So as long as there's stickers, then basically I will survive the purchase, probably. Mirrors and Light. And then some really great credits for the people who are contributors. So Jean Verne, Old School Jelly, and JV West. Price-wise, PDF, £6, $8. Print and PDF bundle, $15, £12, and a retail bundle. So I'm likely to suggest, and thank you, by the way, directsun, for not locking that down to US backers only. That means a lot to those of us who are stuck out here, because print on demand generally really sucks. There are some exceptions, and it really depends on what you're printing. But I tend to shy away from it unless the quality of your PDF is way up there. Certainly, Lightning Source don't always do a great job. Been kind of lucky with the stuff that they're doing from Borg. I think because the colors are so strong that it kind of covers up the fact that the printing isn't quite amazing. But certainly if it's just black or white, you tend to lose some definition sometimes. So that means a lot. Shipping estimates. No point looking at shipping estimates right now, because whatever you say they're going to be wrong, because it keeps changing. Apparently it's getting better right now. But yeah, Aberrant Reflections, check it out if you're a GM looking at OSR stuff. It's really, really cool. Really cool indeed. Let's have a look at one more zine. One more zine. Probably now get screwed over by YouTube for doing the singing a song that I don't have copyright for. First time shipping international, very happy to do it. Last year, yeah, I don't blame you for limiting it last year. It sucked. And to be honest with you, there are some projects that are going through Pledge Manager now, that I've backed, that they haven't kind of gone back and double checked the shipping prices, which have improved. And so you're looking at $40, $50 for a book to be shipped, or for a box with books in to be shipped. When this time last year, it probably would have been closer to 30. So that's unfortunate. Not much we can do about it. I'm, kind of asked them to double check if their shipping is still relevant. But it's so much work to put a campaign together that, sometimes you just have to think, well, do you know what? Actually, if they end up profiting a little bit from the shipping costs and it means that they can do another project off the back of that, I'm okay with that, because margins aren't great on games anyway. This is not, generally speaking, a business for most of you. Certainly, the show isn't a business for us. So, that's not what it's all about, is it? In fact, Christian says, I took one look at international shipping and crawled back into the print on demand hole. Did you print a hole? Is that really what you did? And how did they ship it? Sorry. Right, we've not got long left, so let's, that's my fault. Let's have a quick look at Knights of Lazarus. Knights of Lazarus is a recurring galactic faction, a dangerous puzzle dungeon, and powerful xenotech artifacts for the Mothership RPG. Now, I think they go so far as to say that you can basically play this in any OSR, because Mothership is kind of universal like that, in terms of the way it works and the feel for it at the very least. But this is kind of interesting as well. So first of all, I love this artwork. It's really cool. And what they basically say is that it's a puzzle that's unsolvable the first time through. The crew must discover the best tactics to combat specialized enemies, roleplay through encounters, and choose whether to retreat or push their luck through the dungeon, the ship Canterbury. Now, what I don't know right now is whether or not it's intended, therefore, that you play this multiple times. If any of you have read this, maybe you can let me know in the comments. I've read a lot in the last couple of hours, not all of it gaming related, unfortunately. Whether you're supposed to, almost like a Groundhog Day thing, whether you die and then you start again at the beginning, which is kind of cool if that's what the intention is. Or if it's just a case of you might try this multiple times over the course of a year, for example. I don't know. I don't care. It's still really cool. Look at this artwork. We've got the scalp crown. There were some more things, but now I've made a big thing about the scalp crown. I won't be able to find anything else, will I? There we go. The Black Prince's effigy. There's a map of the ship. There's that cover image again. Some real cool information about characters. What I like about this as well is that the artists, the brothers who are making this, have actually made various products under the name of Spicy Tuna. So they've done Familiar Faces Volume 1 as well. I thought it was more than that. Maybe not. You've got a starter kit. Oh yeah, so you've got a couple of things here, look. Must be Volume 2. They've done a few things. And it's not just set around Mothership. I mean, Mothership's great. And I actually only managed to play it once so far, but that stuck in my mind so much that I remember it as a great game. And that was a couple of years ago. So that gives you some kind of perspective of how much I enjoyed it. But they're actually also making other things, and you can get this buffet kit, which is basically various things that these guys have put out. Or you can just stick with Knights of Lazarus, get the PDF, get the print edition, get the stretch goals, get some art, which is nice, some art prints. And we've seen that art already. It's really cool. $26. $26. That's not a lot for 10 full color player facing art prints for player handouts, 4x6. So that's postcard size, right? I mean, you're not going to do them as player handouts, though, are you? Let's face it, you're probably going to frame them. I would probably frame them and put them on the wall. You get like those postcard frames. That's probably what I would do. Digital assets and all that sort of stuff. Then you've got the physical zines, so it's not much more to get the physical zines that they've produced. So that's Knights of Lazarus, Familiar Faces. And then they've got that much, much bigger pack there, which is $45, £34. It's pretty cool. I like the idea that you've got this spacecraft that you've awakened in, and that from the get-go you can't just walk out, right? You have to actually apply some brains. You can't just murder hobo your way through, because that seems to be generally what we do. I like the fact that they basically say here, will your crew plan a heist or take the oath to join the knights themselves? That's a kind of cool option where you don't have to steal stuff from them. You don't have to kill them. You could actually just build some kind of character relationship between the two. It's designed to be weaved into any campaign with 20 rumors. The dungeon built around regrouping and strategic planning for a heist. But you don't have to do that. What do you think, guys? Oh, God. This was regarding my question about the POD haul. You ship it in a bag of holding. Oh gosh. Yeah, exactly. That cover is amazing. It's really, really cool. I really like this project. If you're already running Mothership, please check it out, because yes, it's been successful. There's only 5 days left on the project, so you've got more days here than you have on Christian's project, and also on Aberrant Reflections. I think we haven't got long left. 3 days left on Aberrant Reflections, so please do check those out as well. All 3 of these are super cool. Andy has already backed Lazarus. Yeah, it's really nice looking. One more thing left for us to discuss, and it looks fun. Let's have a look at One More Quest. Now, I was actually going to play the video for this. How much time have we got? Yeah, we've got time. I'm going to play the video. I think it's the exciting kind of commercial video crap. So let's have a look. Let me know what you think in the comments.
From Horrible Guild comes a hilarious role-playing game where you don't roll dice, you throw them. Welcome to One More Quest, a dexterity-based system to twist your beloved RPG adventures set in the world of the Dungeon Fighter board game series. Travel to Middleware, a world populated by lazy overlords and weird creatures, like dragons at One Day from Retirement, super hot sirens, and moisty Batracian princes looking for love. Assume the role of dungeon fighters, a motley band of screw-ups and desperate vagrants forced into the lifestyle by misfortune or bizarre ambition. The game rules are simple. When you take decisive action, you throw a die so it lands as close to the center of a target as possible. Every action applies a special throw restriction. You can play as a rogue, but can you play like a rogue? Hide from a guard throwing from under the table. Distract that puny goblin with a fancy spin before throwing. Bulldoze your way through the dungeon by punching the table. Each situation is unique with a wide variety of throwing combinations. Games are run by a supreme dungeon mastermind who narrates play and speaks for non-player characters. The rule set is engineered for both casual and experienced RPG players, perfect for laughing with friends with these unexpected twists of classic fantasy scenarios. Choose between dozens of cultures, classes, archetypes, and drives to make your hero unique. Will your cleric abandon the gods to become one with the groove? Will you fulfill your warrior's childhood dream to write a romantic novel? It's only up to you. Just don't focus too much on empathy, though. You'll need lots of other skills, like resist, sneak, arcana, or charm. 24 basic skills divided between 6 characteristics that make the core of your hero's abilities. Your enemies may not be that undaunted either. Dungeon overlords may be petty slumlords ripping off their monster tenants with rent-fixing schemes, or a board of shareholder sorcerers alternating between reality-blasting rituals and the dungeon's office politics. Their minions? Clueless manitors born of man and cow, remote-controlled skeletons as reliable as an old office printer, black knights caught in the midst of teenage rebellion. A menagerie of monsters, each with an amusing twist, while they're still kicking your heroes' butts. A hardcover book of more than 300 pages with full-color art throughout. Travel a world with 20 different regions, biomes, and cultures. Wander from village to village in search of the most epic quest. Or the easiest if you're really feeling lazy today. Choose from an armory of weapons and items, then really crawl into a necromancer's lair and unleash your might on legions of old bones. And if you can't make it to the end of the dungeon, maybe you'll add some class to the Overlord's rooms. One more quest. Hit the target with your die, or die laughing as you try.
So it's kind of tricky because I really love the look of it. I think it looks incredibly fun. But as Yoel said, how long will that last? I mean, seriously, at what point does it get old? You know, let's have a look. Good playable without the dice mechanic seems like more content than gimmick would be fun. I think it probably is to an extent, in that it is a traditional role-playing game, but I'm not sure whether you would want to be honest. Yeah, as Christian said, one-offs when drunk. I think that's the thing, one-offs. But the problem is, I wonder how easy it is to GM if you're drunk, or whether or not actually it would just become too much of a mess. So is this a bit like having a designated driver, where you have to have one person who's sober whilst everyone else has fun? Because that's no fun. If it depends on how much of a rules lawyer you are, I suppose, when it comes to being a GM. And the whole idea is to have fun. The components look amazing. There is a quick start. Have not read the quick start. I downloaded it. It's got about 1 million pages. Not really, but it's a lot of words. And I, decided to leave it in its shrink wrap. But let's check it out anyway, very quickly. We do have a hard stop in 5 minutes, by the way. Don't forget, because we're heading over to Twitch at 9 p.m. for the after party, where our patrons are invited to join us whilst we just talk rubbish. So hopefully we'll have a couple more people on. Otherwise, I'll be talking to myself. But until then, we've got a few minutes to go. So let's keep going. Bruce asked, how much is it? So it's not too awful, but it isn't cheap. It's £47, 55 euros. They're an Italian game manufacturer, so this is in euros. For the starter set, which gets you one copy of the book, the scenario, the target board, some dice, and they're unique dice, which I'm not a huge fan of. I'd rather you could just play with your own D6s if you wanted. One copy of the One More Quest core book PDF, the adventures in PDF, and stretch goals. But you don't want that version. We know that you don't want that version because you're here. So that means you want to know how much the fill edition is, right? Check this campaign out. As you can see, there's lots of information here. It does look really fun, but I think it's going to be hard to keep it fun. Idea, for example, if you wanted to grab a priceless vase without breaking it, athletic skill, you need to jump what's you're throwing the die, but because you're trying to not break something, you have to throw using dice, your die held up with your little fingers, and then you need to kind of make it bounce off the table before it lands on the target, and then you want it to land on the target grid, which is where it gets even more difficult. And I think that's part of the point, but I would be terrible at that. So then you need to, the nearer you get to the middle, the higher your score. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 is that middle thing in the middle. And then what it lands on the die actually gives you a modifier to your roll. I'm just scrolling to find there we go. Right. Starter set, you get that. Collector's edition, you get a fancy schmancy box, which is, I think it's an exclusive, and more books. And then you've got the gameplay bonanza. This is where we're looking at the fill edition, as we would call it before. 145 euros. So that's like 130 quid probably. Let's have a look. 123 pounds, a little bit lower. It's a lot of money. And I think it would be, component-wise, I'm 100% confident that the components are going to be of a high standard. As you can see by scrolling through, there's some really cool stuff. Looks incredible. But I think the reality is that it's going to get limited gameplay unless you don't get bored easily. Let's have a little look, see at the comments. Too much for a drunken play, I agree, unless you have a very rich friend. I am not your very rich friend. I'm also in the wrong country for Yoel. Christian, it does look very polished. It also looks like it gets quite frustrating very quickly. Yeah, especially if you're playing with kids. They'll either be amazing at it, or they'll just get really annoyed, really angry that they can't get it. Dice rolls under the couch for the 8th time this evening. I mean, that's pretty normal anyway. Maybe if it had a mechanism for holding the dice in, at least with sides, but then at the same time, the rule is that die needs to bounce off the table before it lands on the target to stop you from just dropping it on. which kind of makes it challenging. Dice on a string for all your drunken games. That sounds amazing. So yeah, check out One More Quest. Let me know what you think. Let me know if it's a game that you would be inclined to buy or play. And if you have already backed it, then let me know what you're excited about. Please do consider joining us on Discord. The links are below. If you've enjoyed the show, please also hit the like or the subscribe or whatever. We've got a Patreon, we've got Redbubble merchandise, all of that stuff. Any of the support you give us is really appreciated. But most of all, if you want to come and talk to us on Discord, we always love to hang out and just talk absolute nonsense. Don't go away unless you're on YouTube. Come on over to Twitch. Let me see if I've still got a relevant banner. I have. Look, right here. Come on over to Twitch. We'll be about 4 or 5 minutes, just enough time to kind of become human again. And we'll pick up where we left off, talking about things like the Book of Boba Fett, maybe, films that are coming on. Hopefully we'll have some of our patrons on as well. Otherwise, it will probably be a very short show. In the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Don't forget, we have an actual play of Dungeon Crawl Classics on our Twitch on Wednesday evening UK time, 8 o'clock. So please check that out. That'll be with Judge Zach from the Goodman Games Dungeon Crawl Classics Road Crew. And until then, thank you everyone for watching us live, and anyone who's watching afterwards. Yeah, it's been a good show. Thank you very much for joining. Till then, I hope your dice rolls are way better than mine. Thanks very much, everyone. Take care. Good night.